New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills as we sit right now. Buffalo Bills are 4 across the board, 4-point favorites, a total of 44 or 44 and a half. The big news here heading into this one is everyone's going to talk about the cold. Everyone is going to say, hey, it's going to be single digits. And it is going to be single digits at kickoff. But listen, there's no real wind to speak of. There is no way for you to go and try and correlate this game to the first one because, again, the wind is what makes all the difference. You can't pass in the wind. It is so incredibly hard to get anything down the field. The kicking game goes completely out the window with those type of winds and all that. Now, look, the kicking game is going to be harder because if you listen to anybody, I've heard a couple of kickers talk this week, and they say, yes, it is harder to kick in 5-degree weather. The ball's hard. It's doesn't fly as far, et cetera, et cetera. So there is at least that. There probably will forego the longer-ish field goals, and maybe there'll be a couple of more fourth down attempts in this one than typical. But outside of that, I mean, again, it's just going to be cold. It's going to be cold and it's going to be uncomfortable. Brad, listen, this is a game that we've seen played twice already this year. Now, one of those to me is a complete throwaway. I don't pull anything. I don't glean anything away from that first game. So if anything, I would look to the second game to kind of see what I feel about this team. How did you go about kind of handicapping this game?
Well, to me, they're very even teams. So obviously, you're talking about that second matchup. The Bills won that, but there was a huge swing on late downs, basically. I think New England were 1 for 10 on third down at one point in that game, whereas the Bills were converting about 50% of their third downs. And then when they didn't, they went on fourth down and picked up, I think, 3 out of 4 on them as well. So if you look at the raw success rate metrics, it was a much closer game. Patriots at 46, Bills at 52. So they were the better team, but it was probably closer than the final score. Again, obviously this is 5 degrees, this weather, which we've seen once this year in that Green Bay, Minnesota game. And I do wonder if that hurts the Bills more. Stephon Diggs was talking this week that Allen needs to take something off his throws because, he's basically throwing a rock of ice. He said he needs to take something off his throws in the snow, which, I think it's unrealistic to expect Josh Allen to suddenly change how he throws a football. So I do wonder if that favours the Patriots more, especially if there's an emphasis on the running game as well. Obviously, they ran all over in the first game, but then even in the second game, they ran for 150 yards. So the Bills didn't really stop them. They just got behind, so had to abandon it a little bit. So to me, I think the Patriots will be able to run the ball, and I wonder if that cold weather does dampen some of the edge on the Patriots, on the Bills passing attack.
So we take a look here. Patriots come into the playoffs here on a 1-3 stretch. That only win coming against the Jaguars. In those 3 losses, they turned it over 7 times. Only got 1 takeaway in that. So they were starting to be a little bit more, let's just say, generous with the turnovers there. Mac Jones certainly down the stretch was more leaking oil than he was the kind of polished guy earlier on in the season that we did see from him. Brett, look, you live there in Buffalo. You understand the cold and understand what these guys are going to be playing in more than anybody. I mean, listen, and I think you've explained this to me before, but for the people that are watching this video or listening to this podcast, like the difference between cold and then cold and wind is just in even when we're talking single digits, you've told me it's just night and day.
Yeah, and I agree that first game was a throwaway. So thanks for setting that straight right away. This is not going to be the same as the first time these two teams played in Buffalo this year. The one takeaway I had from that game, though, was how uncomfortable Mac Jones was in the cold. I was sitting behind the Patriots sideline and watching Mac the entire game, and he was really struggling with his hands, keeping his hands warm, so much so that I actually thought they were going to put Hoyer into the game because Hoyer was way more comfortable. So that is something that I am baking into this, is a Florida kid who really has not played in these conditions very often. And that's the key for me here is the quarterback play. The Pats didn't really have to compromise Mac Jones in the blizzard in Buffalo last month. They just ran straight, and then they had the one big run, and the defense did enough to win that game. Very different situation here where it will be cold, yes, but Josh Allen will be able to get the ball out without it floating on him. I mean, the ball carried so many times when he got it out in Buffalo the first time these two teams played. He was unstoppable for the most part when these two teams met in Foxborough last month, and he didn't have Beasley or Gabe Davis in that game either. So I don't see why he can't have similar success here through the air and on the ground. Unleash the guy. They didn't do that with Allen in Buffalo either. I mean, he didn't use his legs at all in that game. Very strange game. Like I said, just throw away that first game in Buffalo. I like the Bills at -4 here. I like their team total. I think they'll be able to score points. And I don't trust Mac Jones to be able to keep up with the Bills in this matchup in negative game flow. I just don't see that happening. So I like the Bills quite a bit here at -4. I would probably bet it up to -5.
Yeah, I'm looking here, and again, like I said, it was a throwaway to me that first game. So looking at the second game, you get Mac Jones at 14 of 32 for 145 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. You get Allen at 30 for 47, 314, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, didn't get sacked at all in that game. Also ran the ball 12 times, which, by the way, that was another thing that I didn't get in that first game, is why the hell they didn't run him at all in that first game at all. I mean, it seemed like that would have been the natural way to go about kind of attacking them, especially in those conditions, but that's neither here nor there. But they did run Allen 12 times in that second game as well. To me, I just see one team that is clearly better than the other to me. And I could be skewed here. I've been down on the Patriots more than most all season long. I think it was an awesome job of what they did with a rookie quarterback and a guy that has very little talent around him. That's another thing we should mention, right? I mean, if this team falls behind in this game, it's over. Like, it is toast. They are not built to play from behind at all. They have no playmakers whatsoever. They built this team to basically be like a little safe haven for a rookie quarterback that they knew was going to be starting, with the dual tight ends and the possession receivers at receiver and all the stuff like that. Like, there's nobody with any talent on this squad to be able to have explosive plays to make a comeback in a game like this either. I really do like the 4. I am hoping that Patriots money comes in and I get this thing a little bit lower than this even. So I'm holding out a little bit. I do believe also on this total, guys. And Brad, you play more totals than most of us, but on this total here, sitting at 44, I think that it could fall even more the more people start hearing and paying attention to this. Oh my God, it's going to be 5 degrees. Oh my God, it's going to be 5 degrees. If this thing hits 42, which by the way is not out of the realm of possibility at all, but like once these people start paying attention and hear that it's going to be so cold there, and then they're going to hear about, they're going to start correlating it to the first game and all that, I can see tons of people betting the under. If this thing is 42, I'm coming back on the over, because again, yes, they're going to forego the 55-yard field goals in this, but outside of that, these offenses should run at least fairly similar to how they run just in general. And again, even though the Patriots lost, they still put 21 on the board in Foxborough. It was a 33-21 game.
Yeah, it's I do like the overlook in general. Both defenses played pretty easy strength of schedule, and then you've got that added threat of Josh Allen running. I would look for a rushing prop over here. I think they'll unleash him. And then the way the Bills were playing defense in that second matchup, they just had everyone close to the line of scrimmage. So I think you might get some explosive runs out of the Patriots or some play action off that. I think if it does tick down, which I suspect it will, then it is a nice look to the over. Yeah.
Yeah, Brett, we got a little 45.5 on Josh Allen. I mean, it's hard for me to believe they're not going to run him at least a dozen times in this game again. We know that if they do that, and the way that he runs and the improvising that he does on passes as well, he's getting 5 yards a carry. He's going to get over that 45.5. We just need to get the 10, 12 carries out of him. So I'm playing over or nothing on his rushing total. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is the Josh Allen experience. He kind of takes the game into his own hands in these spots. So I can definitely see him just breaking off and trying to make some plays with his legs here. Yeah, I'm with you. I think I either bet over or nothing.
Any thoughts from the total on you? I mean, again, it's sitting 44 right now. Again, would not surprise me at all. There's a 43.5 actually at MGM that just flashed on the screen. So the under money seems to be coming in. Yeah,
I think it's probably Bills team total, and that's it for me. I don't trust the Patriots even in like a garbage garbage time. It's so hard with Mac. I just don't trust Mac to score any points in this game. So Bills team total over 23.5 is a play for me, and that's probably it.